Only in Blake Lively's world can a co-star getting subpoenaed be spun as harassment, while pulling more than 100 random YouTubers and Twitter users into court is somehow painted as self-protection. That is the hypocrisy that keeps me shaking my head. If you were actually on set, like Isabella Ferrer was, you would think answering a few questions would be the most basic part of the process. But no, when Justin Baldoni tries to hear from someone who worked right beside him, suddenly it is harassment and manipulation. Meanwhile, Blake's dragnet of strangers, most of whom never met her or Justin, gets described as a shield. And this is where it gets messy. Ferrer, who once praised Justin as a wonderful, smart, sincere director who made her feel safe, is now filing a hostile 26-page motion that reads less like a legal defense and more like a Blake and Ryan press release. In my opinion, it is full of loaded words like harassment, quid pro quo, and manipulation, and it repeats Justin's name like it is the only point. Not Wayfarer, the actual company, just Justin. Almost as if the goal was not to answer a subpoena, but to smear a person. The motion does not sound like a 24-year-old actress just trying to protect herself. It sounds like someone who has been coached, maybe even love-bombed into loyalty. Allegedly, Blake and Ryan have been close with her since filming ended, flying her out, inviting her to premieres, wrapping her in the inner circle. If you have watched Blake long enough, it looks like the same playbook she runs on everyone: drown them in attention until they echo her narrative back. The problem is that echo comes at a cost, because right now, Ferrer does not look like an innocent caught in the crossfire. She looks like mini Blake. She looks like someone who ducked service multiple times, then cried harassment the second the spotlight turned her way. And it feels like career suicide in real time. No studio wants an actress who calls routine legal steps harassment while siding with Hollywood's most toxic couple. And here is where the whole thing tips from messy to ridiculous. Farahs Motion does not even ask to quash the subpoena. If being questioned was truly harassment, if this was really some traumatic overreach, the first line of her filing should have been, "Your Honor, toss this out." But that is not what she did. Instead, it is 26 pages nitpicking how service was attempted, all while slinging accusations at Justin personally. That does not read like someone protecting herself. It reads like someone running interference. And interference is exactly the vibe, because let us not forget, she did not call Blake's subpoena harassment. She complied with that. But when the same request comes from Justin's side, suddenly it is harassment, manipulation, and a campaign against her. You do not need a law degree to see the double standard. It feels like gaslighting, plain and simple. Then there is the indemnity drama, the who pays the lawyers problem. Wayfarer allegedly told her, "We will cover your fees, but we get to manage the response." A normal arrangement in Hollywood, since it is their case. But Ferrer refused, insisting on her own lawyer, her own strategy. That is her right, but instead of quietly sorting it out, she drags it into a hostile public filing. That is not smart. That is theater. And let us talk about the theater, because the language in this motion does not sound like an inexperienced actress overwhelmed by the legal system. It sounds like a cut-and-paste job from Blake and Ryan's greatest hits. Quid pro quo, harassment, manipulation, even an allegation that Justin's team cited a phony case, an AI hallucination, apparently. That is the kind of phrase you throw in when you are more worried about headlines than hearings. Oh, and the address claim. The filing suggests Justin's side may have exposed her home address, except allegedly it was not even hers. That is the kind of sloppy accusation that cheapens the whole argument. Because once you throw in something that flimsy, it makes everything else look like spin too. And this is why it feels so obvious to me. Blake's fingerprints are all over this. The tone, the hostility, the endless rebranding of routine legal steps as harassment. It is Blake's whole act, and now it's being passed down to a co-star who should have stayed far away. It is like watching someone willingly sign up to be the understudy in Blake's victim play, forgetting that every supporting actress in that show gets booed off stage eventually. Because here is the truth. No one is buying the poor young actress routine anymore. Ferrer is 24. She is not a teenager. She is not fragile. She made a choice, and it was the wrong one. You do not file sanctions motions dripping in hostility by accident. You do not weaponize your own words of praise, calling Justin wonderful and sincere, unless you have decided loyalty to Blake matters more than your own credibility. And what do you get for that loyalty? Not protection, not growth, not opportunity. You get branded mini Blake. You get lumped in with Hollywood's most toxic couple. You get an image problem before your career even started. If that is what empowerment looks like under Blake's influence, it is empowerment with an expiration date. And here is the fallout. Hollywood does not like volatility. Studios do not want a PR circus attached to a rising actress. Directors do not want a witness who cries harassment over a routine subpoena. What they want is simple: professionalism. Ferrer just branded herself as the opposite. She looks like someone who ducked service, cried victim, and then filed a 26-page tantrum that made her look more like a PR pawn than a professional. Because let us be honest, nobody is infantilizing her anymore. She is not a kid, she is not fragile, she is not some wide-eyed innocent who accidentally stumbled into Blake's mess. She is 24, she made her choice, and she chose Blake. And in my opinion, that choice just cost her everything. You do not get to praise your director 1 minute and accuse him of manipulation the next without looking two-faced. You do not get to dodge subpoenas while screaming harassment and expect people to buy it. The audience is not stupid. And the irony, Blake did not protect her. Blake ruined her. That is the pattern. Every pawn Blake recruits ends up worse off. Allegedly, Blake pulls you in, love bombs you, feeds you talking points, and then leaves you holding the bag when the public turns. Isabella Ferrer is not a star in this story. She is collateral damage. She is proof that being Blake's ally does not save you, it sinks you. So here we are again, watching another person get chewed up by Blake's playbook. And if history has shown us anything, it is that she will keep doing it. More filings, more stunts, more people sacrifice to keep her narrative alive, and every time, it backfires. I think Blake thinks that she is protecting herself, but all she is really doing is handing us more proof that the only person she protects is herself at everyone else's expense. If you are tired of the hypocrisy, you are in the right place, because Blake's team is going to keep serving us these cell phones, and I will be right here calling them out. Subscribe now, because if the pattern holds, the next disaster is already loading. Oh, and just remember, these are just my thoughts and feelings, not hard evidence. I'll leave the smoking guns to Blake's team since they're so good at shooting themselves in the foot.